Welcome to the Independent Woman with Wine and Juice. Soda.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm so excited that you said yes. This is going to be so much fun because you don't know anything about me and I don't know anything about you. So we're
Yep.
just going to have this wonderful conversation. Um, you're look like you're a life coach, right?
So my name is Sarah Manning, and I'm actually a variety of things. If you ask me what I am, I would say I'm a modern day oracle, but my mission is to coach women to connect to their intuition, to create lives full of confidence and fulfill their deepest desires. That is my main mission.
And by the way, I love your handle on Instagram, the Intuition Queen.
Thank you.
Wow, it is awesome. I was just like, man, I should have thought like a queen, independent queen with wine.
No, I love your handle as well. I think it's fantastic. But when I was picking it, I literally I remember thinking, oh my gosh, is this really arrogant of me? Like, am I, who am I to say I'm a queen? And I was like, you know what? Every woman is a queen in her own
Wow.
right and in her own life. So I don't need anybody's permission to claim it. It's open, it's available. I am the intuition queen because that is my mission for women around the world, is to really tap into their own inner voice.
Because we go through so much, because every woman that I talk to, everybody had a struggle, or still have a struggle, a hardship, it's divorce, it's losing parents, it's this.
Yeah.
To me, like, especially coming out of this funk that I coming out of, this past couple of weeks, I was just telling you that I was a little depressed. Now I'm like, I have this appreciation, like just the fact that I'm still here, getting up, go to work, do this. Like,
Mhm.
it's amazing. I mean, we're all amazing that we didn't give up because so many times I actually wanted to give up so many times,
Yeah.
and just never did. I usually say that I'm a coward, you know.
Don't shame yourself into saying you're a coward. That's
I am a coward, but we all had, and a lot of people go through, and
Mm,
we can help somebody, like somebody might see this. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at them. They went through
yeah.
this. They're there, or they're fighting, just yeah.
Yeah. Totally
So
get that.
my first question for you would be, Sarah, how did you get into this area of work?
Oh wow. It's a really long story, but I was thinking about it all morning and I was like, how can I compress it into a nutshell? And basically, like, I've always been sensitive to energy my whole life. I would see dead people but not understand it. I grew up in a cult where women were told to be quiet, stay in the background. Anything to do with energy was demonic and scary, and you should never, like, it's just so bad. So for years, I just silenced it. And when I left the cult and met amazing man who's now my husband. Will be celebrating 20 years next month together. And he was very open, and he was like, why is everything bad, good or bad with you? Maybe you should investigate this. And I was like, oh, whatever. But when I hit 30, something cracked open within me. I had, from the outside, an amazing life, a really good husband, a really amazing career, owned our own home, but I just felt like something was missing within me. So I ended up leaving my home for a while and splitting from my husband and trying to figure myself out, because I just was like, I'm 30, I'm not happy. I feel like there's something within me, but I don't know what it is. And then I ended up finding a teacher that was like, oh, I can, let's investigate this some more. And it opened my eyes up. And when I tapped into my intuition, it was like this, I don't even know how to explain it, but just this like huge relief off my shoulders. I felt like I could actually breathe. And I felt like, oh, I love this. This is so freaking cool. Like, this is just, what the hell is this? I got to investigate this more. And I found my voice. Even though I had a really good like a loving husband, and our marriage was rocky, but still good. he supported me finding that voice even more and said, I have never seen you so happy. And I was like, it's because I'm not worrying about other people and what they say is right and wrong and what I should do with my life. I am tapping into here and I'm tapping into my intuition. And it's something that all women need to know because the happiness and the freedom that I found, every woman needs to know this.
I
Like, I
know,
know,
right?
right? Like when you quiet the noise outside and just be like, whatever, I'm gonna do my own thing. It's not like I went off the deep end or went crazy listening to it. I just found that confidence, that self-worth, that like, oh, I actually know more than I think I do. And doing my own thing. Like even with my pink hair, there's so many people that are like, you're in your 40s, like what's with the pink hair? And I'm
I
like,
love your pink hair. I
thank
fucking,
you.
oh, by the way, we can swear here, okay? This is
Perfect.
I fucking love your pink hair. I,
Thank you.
but in December, I dyed my hair blonde, but I was going for pink. But then I always wanted to be blonde, at least for a little, just to see how I would look. So
Yeah.
my hairdresser, I'm like, I want pink, but since you have to bleach my hair, either way, I want to be blonde for a little bit before I do the pink. So I'm blonde right now.
I love it. I love it. But that's exactly it, right? Like, I started dyeing my hair pink. Oh gosh. I think like almost 8 or 9 years ago. And after I started doing it, my husband's like, oh my God, you're going to be the cutest 80-year-old with pink hair I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, you think I'm going to keep it pink that long? He's like, oh yes. And I dyed it a different color twice in the 9 years. And it was the biggest mistake. Like even my family, they're
You
like,
are. You went for it. You got it
"Yep,
done. Oh, I didn't like it because I actually kind of myself as a blonde, but I
I
would
like it."
know. I would never ever know. My family does not like.
Oh,
Oh no, no, no. My sisters did not like. I'm like, well, too bad, so sad. It's my hair, my money, so you know.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, my family, they're all like, your natural hair is pink. We don't know why it's brown in the roots. It's naturally pink. It's who I am. I love it. I will never change it again. As long as I can find pink hair dye, I will dye my hair. I love it.
Do you think I I don't want to say I get sad, but I am 47 years old right now. Like I literally crossed to the late 40s.
Gotcha.
And I hear like you're 47 now. Because I have tattoos and I'm dying to get a new one, but some people I'm like, why did I have to wait until my late 40s, right? To actually not give a fuck about all of these other people. No, I am gonna get the fucking tattoo. I am gonna dye my hair blonde. I'm gonna dye it pink,
Yeah.
like because nobody's paying my bills. But
Yeah.
it's why did I not have this mentality before?
Yeah, you know, I don't I honestly like if you look at how we're raised and everything, like even like I'm not against our education system by any means. I know there's always room for improvement and I know we have to get educated, but we also need to start understanding that there is more than one way to teach kids. Like you all have to conform, right? Like think about school. You have the smart kids, you have the sporty kids, you have the I don't like labels, but the like awkward kid, let's call them awkward kids, right? And we
The broke
start
kid.
we start lumping them together and like, well, that behavior is inappropriate, this behavior is okay. You can't, I remember I remember doing an art project when I was in grade 7 and I spent hours on it and I was so proud of it. And I went and got it graded and I got a C. And I went to my teacher and I was like, I spent hours on this. Like, what did I do wrong? And he was like, well, it's kind of hard to see. And I was like, I was crushed. And like, I put so much effort into that. And then because of that, I was like, why bother? Like, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm not gonna get the recognition. And we're taught to achieve something outside of ourselves
Yep.
rather than within. obviously I haven't been in school for 25 years. I'm 40, I'm going to be 43 this year. So I haven't been in school for 25 years. So I'm hoping it changes. But still with work too, right? Like when I was in work, there were the good workers, there were the bad workers, and they were like the coasters. And it's like we become obsessed with these labels.
Yep.
But one of the most freeing moments actually involves my husband again. My husband is like my he's my cheerleader, he's my teammate. I love him to death and we learn so much from each other. But one time we were having an argument and I'm a very loving and kind person. And when we were having this argument, he came, it was on the phone, and he came home and we were talking. And he's like, when we start arguing, you're bitchy, you're angry, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. And I just let him talk. And I was like, okay, okay. So then I was like, I just have to excuse myself for a minute. And I left and I really thought about the labels that he gave me. And I was like, screw this. I am just because I'm upset doesn't mean I become this raging, manipulative bitch. So I went up to my husband and I said, I'm not accepting those labels. If you want to see me that way, go ahead. But I am loving, I am kind, I am open. I have never tried to control you. I've always tried to meet in the middle with you. So if you feel that way, that's on you. You got to figure out why you feel that way. The flip side is, though, when he pisses me off, I can't say, you're an asshole, you're a jerk, you're this, you're that, you're self centered. I can't do that because it's my job to figure out why is it when he's talking to me, even if there's some passion or some heatedness to the argument, why is it that all of a sudden I'm clinging or putting these labels on him? Because he's not that way. My husband is incredibly patient, incredibly loving, and always open for discussion. So we have to start understanding, yeah, people are going to label us, but it's your job to figure out, do I want to keep this label and accept this label or go, you know what, that's your belief. That's cool. You can have that about me, but I'm not going to accept it.
You can use the old I'm rubber, you glue.
You absolutely can. I don't, for me, that is so like, for me myself, hearing that, I'm like, oh, it's so childish. And, but
Hey,
if it works for you, fantastic. But for me,
if
it's
it
more
doesn't,
like, oh,
somebody's
sorry,
like,
go ahead.
I'm not affecting you. Hey, just you do you, but doesn't
Yeah,
affect me.
100%, right? But like it would, and again, like Ali, if you're like, hey, I'm gonna start using your rubber iron glue or your I'll flip it, I remember your glue. If that makes you feel empowered, that's fantastic. That's what we want. You want to start finding what works for you.
Yeah.
What works for you, Ali, isn't going to work for me. What works for me might not work for you. And that doesn't mean you're right, I'm wrong. Like there's times when things that even happen in our lives where I'm like, oh my gosh, why is this going on? And this is bad. And my husband's like, why do you have to label it? Why can't it just be a thing? And I was like, that's a really good point. Why do we always have to label everything? Why can't it just be, okay, well, this is what's before me. How do I work through this? How do I manage through this?
Yeah, it's funny you saying like what works for you and works for me because for so many years, all I heard from a lot of people, if I can do it, of course you can do it. I'm like, dude, no, I can't. No, like depending on what it is, maybe the person who's telling me that, which I've heard from skinny people, I am not a skinny person. I am over 200 pounds. Okay.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things I cannot do that a skinny person can do.
Yep.
Okay. I have a hard time getting up from the floor. A skinny person do not have a hard time getting up from the floor.
Depending. I've seen some skinny people that are just like so weak. But
But I used to have this boss,
I hear you.
which is like,
Yeah.
you guys have to do this, blah, blah, blah. When I was me, I did all these things, and we were like, dude, we're all different here.
Yeah.
What were you able to do? It's not gonna be where we're gonna. If we're all were able to had the capacity to do all the same things, that would be boring.
I liked the clarification that you made there because you said the same things. I believe that we can do anything we set our minds to, but maybe in a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I hear what you're saying. Like if someone was like, "Oh, when you were talking about you can do it if you put your mind to it," I was like, "I'd never want to be a brain surgeon. No, thank you." And that, like, there's no way in heck, like, no way in hell, I would even want to be in the medical field. But I know when I start really giving myself permission to just be silent for just even 5 seconds and really tap into, okay, what is my voice telling me? Because my weight is like a massive yo-yo, always has been. But at the same time, well, I shouldn't say it always has been. Like when I was in my teens, it started becoming more yo-yo. But I also realized that is because I accepted, I did not grow up in a happy home, but I accepted the label from my dad that I was fat. He always compared me to someone that was super skinny. And I've never been super skinny. I've been athletic and I have been fit, but never super skinny. So because he gave me the label of being fat and overweight, I was like, oh, I should accept that. And then, well, I might as well get there. Right. So that was also another thing. So now for me, when I'm thinking about my physical appearance, or like I go to the gym regularly and I have a puppy now so that I walk her a lot too. But there's times where I'm like, oh God, the effort of going. But I go, okay, what do I really want to do? What do I really want to do? Do I think I should go to the gym or do I want to go to the gym? And all of a sudden I just give myself a moment and I'm like, no, I actually do want to go today. And other times I'm like, yeah, screw the gym. I'm not going today. And I don't, anytime I start hearing my ego kick in of, well, you could lose a little bit of weight today, or you could burn some extra calories if you went, and you could burn that ice cream that you had last night. I'm like, shut up. I don't need to listen to you. Like, screw off.
It's like we have the two little angels, right? One
100%.
saying good things and the other one saying the bad things. Oh, mine
Yeah.
is my bad one doesn't shut up. It's like a yep, yep.
I go, my ego, my higher self. My higher self is my intuition and what is in my best interest and my loving vibe. My higher self and my intuition always, you can do this. You've got this. You are capable. There, you are limitless. Let's find a way to make this happen. Maybe not right now, but it's coming. How do we like it gets very curious and very like you are limitless. My ego, you're ugly, you're fat, you're too old. Who do you think you are? Who are you to teach this? Who are you to call yourself queen? You don't have the money to do this. You don't have the opportunity to do this. Blah, 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 blah. And that's where I'm like, and go
Is your
ahead, Allie. Sorry.
ego also is your ego also here?
Always.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I think
But
everyone goes through that, like the
100%. Well, the ego is part of us. If you try to completely silence your ego, you are setting yourself up for failure. However, if you start listening to your intuition more and really tune into how you feel about things, the ego does get smaller and quieter. And eventually, your intuition is what comes forward with little whispers of your ego. But that takes time because right now, we're all set up to listen to ego, fear. It's like, actually, when I was getting ready for to meet with you and stuff, I was like, when is it that women all of a sudden have to flip the switch of what's possible for them? Because when we're younger, we're constantly told, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, you want to be this? Oh, that's fantastic. You can do anything you want to do. You can go after anything you want to do. And then all of a sudden, we get this idea that we have to play small. And who are you to want to do that? That's a man's world. Or, when does that switch all of a sudden flip? Um, I don't know about you, but like for me growing up, I was wanting to be a fairy princess. I was like, I want to be a fairy princess, and I'm sure that's what I am. And I'm sure someone kidnapped me when
I
I
think
was
we all
little.
wanted to be a fairy princess.
Right. But like, so that was my dream and goal. And I still, to this day, I still love fairies. I am still connected to me, they're just small nature angels instead of, to me, that's what they are. And I love seeing the magic in the world. But at some point we start growing up and we're being told, grow up, get connected to the real world. This isn't actually possible for you. And it's really sad that we teach our children that.
Yeah. You were talking about your dad called you fat, you know. I went through
Yeah.
the same thing. And does this happen to you? You take pictures from back when and you look at yourself. I wasn't fucking fat. What was people staring at me about? Look at me. I was hot. I wasn't kidding. I was not fat. I swear to God. I look at
Yeah.
pictures like I am so not fat. But I
Hmm.
had already had the complexity, you know, the feeling that I was fat.
Yeah.
And the whole, especially growing up in Brazil, I don't know if you knew, if you noticed the accent.
I knew there was an accent, but I wasn't sure where.
I grew up in Brazil. So in Brazil, a very Catholic place, especially in the way that I grew up, our family was
Mm.
woman had to get married and have
Mhm.
children. You could still have a career, you know, but those things. And up until like a few years ago, I felt like a loser because I was not married,
Mm.
no children. I didn't get married until like not even 3 years ago, you
Well,
know.
congratulations, though.
Thank you. But no children, no
Yeah.
children. But now I'm like, I don't know, maybe because I'm so much more connected with the ladies that are the same way as me. They're in their 40s, you know, no children, no marriage, and I just feel much more empower that I even joke, you know,
Yeah.
like put on TikTok. Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm going home, but I have no children. Woohoo!
Do you know? And I'm a very involved auntie. Like I have many nieces and nephews. I'm very blessed to have them. I have no children. And like I said, my husband and I will be celebrating 20 years married next month. But there's so many times where people will come up to us and be like, "Oh my God, you guys are so cute. Like, what's your secret?" And we're like, "We don't have kids." And I am not a kid hater. If anybody wants to have kids, that is fantastic.
I
But
work
I'm
with
too selfish to
children.
have kids. Good
I love children. I've been working with children for almost 20 years now.
for
You
you.
So yeah, oh my God, that is so funny. But I joke. I'm like, because I some parents were like, "How do you do this, Ellie? How?" I'm like, "Dude, I get to go home, have my glass
Yeah.
of wine, and that's it. You know, there's no
Yeah.
children. I don't have any to take care. I mean, I have my husband to take care of, but you know,
I have my husband and I have a puppy, and sometimes my puppy drives me insane. And at least like her, I can leave at home and walk away if I need to.
right? You don't have to save to college. You get to have that money go on a cruise if it cruise is your thing,
Yeah.
right?
You know, the one question I am asked a lot, and I'm always like, if that's why you're having kids, I mean, that's your decision, but wow. So many people are like, what are you gonna do when you get older? Like you're gonna be alone and so lonely. And it's like,
Who's gonna
is
take
that
care
why you're
of
having
you?
kids? Like,
A lot of people say, who's going to take care of you? You can't have children just because of that.
yeah, I do. My husband and I, we have a pact. We've had it for years that if we get to the point that we have to have someone take care of us, we're going to rent the most expensive sports car we can find, and we're just going to drive off a cliff.
I love that. A little Thelma and Louise, right?
100%. Like, why do you want to? Why? What, like, no, I don't need anybody to take care of me. I don't want to be a burden.
I just pray I don't get to that. I'm like, God, please.
Right?
But
Yeah.
okay, I am in your hands when it's my time, but please don't let me be here that I need help.
Yes. I hear you. I got
Uh,
that.
so do you see doing your life coaching and everything, you get to see people, right?
I do.
And
Yes.
you said that you see dead people. You sense you have that sensitivity where you sense.
Yeah.
I don't. Sometimes I feel like I have, but I know I don't. But I totally believe that in the sensitivity that some people.
Yeah.
Do you ever get somebody that's like, you're bullshitting me?
You know, I I do all my readings over the phone. And the
Okay.
reason why I like to do them over the phone is I don't see age, I don't see cultural background, I don't see facial or body expression. So it's really hard to bullshit someone when they're like how do you know that? And I'm like, because your dead person told me. Like, I do readings sometimes, one on one, but I'm not the medium that goes. Well, I mean, I do, but it's not the only thing. I'm not like they love you, they miss you, and like by your age, I can probably guess who's passed, right? But I'm like the one time was doing a reading over the phone, and a gal wanted to talk to her, or and I, like before I have a reading, I don't know who you want to talk to. I don't want to know. Like, even if someone sends me an email saying, "Hey, I'd like to connect with my dad," I'm like, okay, that's fine, but don't tell me anything else because it's so much easier when I know nothing. So when I was talking to the girl on the phone, I was like, your dad has passed, right? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, he really wants you to stop shaking your left leg. It drove him nuts when he was alive, and it's driving him crazy right now. And she dropped to the phone. Now, keep in mind, I'm in Nicaragua. She was up in North America during this reading.
In Nicaragua
she,
right now?
no, I'm in Canada right now. But at the time of the reading, I
Okay,
lived in
gotcha.
Nicaragua for a year, in Portugal
I'll
for a
be like,
year.
wow, it's so cool. You're in Nicaragua.
I love Nicaragua. I highly recommend it if anybody wants a vacation. It's beautiful down there, and the people are amazing. But she dropped the phone and she picked it up and she's like, "Do you have cameras in my house?" And it's like, "No, why?" And she's like, "I don't know how you knew my leg was shaking. Like, I was bouncing it up and down." It's like, "Because your dad told me." Like,
Wow.
before I do a reading with someone,
I
I
got
tell them,
goosebumps, and it's not even
love
about me.
it. We call those holy showers because they're truth vibrations. But we, like, I tell your people on the other side, tell me things I can't pull out of my butt. Like, I want that crazy specific, how the hell did you know that stuff, right? And I get, and yes, have I had people be like, you're so full of it, until they have a reading with me.
Definitely.
Now, that being said, I've been doing this for full time for 10 years. And out of all of the readings all around the world that I've done, only 6 times have I ever had to refund someone their money. And
It's
that's
happened
because
ever you didn't get anything. Yeah.
100%. And that just happens, right? Not everybody is going to tune into the loved ones that you want. And I don't believe in charging for a service that I cannot provide. So whenever anybody books a reading with me, I'm like, it really is risk free, because if I don't give you what, like, I don't ask questions either. I'm not like, I had a reading with another, it was 3 ladies, and they came and sat down, and they're like, okay, do you want to know who we talked to, how they died, and how old they were? And I was like, no, don't tell me any of that. And if you get someone asking you for that, run away and get your money back. Because, in my opinion, a medium that can connect to those that have passed can tell you who you want to connect to. I don't always know how the person passed, but they can tell me sometimes. But then also that really specific stuff, like, your dad tells me you have his eyes, or you have the same way to look at things. But when you're talking with the dead, it's like playing a game of charades with a ray of light. So sometimes you need a little bit of help. Sometimes I'm like, does this make sense to you? Do you understand this? Does it fit for that person? Yes, great. Let's move on. No? Okay, let me go back and see if I can clarify, right? But yeah, it's really cool experience.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So besides doing the median, do you do other things to help people, I don't know, move on, or they're struggling, like what kind of other service do you help people with?
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely the mediumship. And then I also do intuitive readings or psychic readings. But I always tell people I'm not the psychic or intuitive that says, "Oh, 6 months from now, I see this happening to you." I don't believe in that. I think I can tell your life path, but I can't say this 100% is set in stone and how it's going to happen, because we have free will, and certain like lessons are set in stone, but how you get to them is up to you and your free will. So what I do when I do an intuitive reading, I will actually grab my favorite deck here, is I do use cards, but it's more about your current life lesson, what you're going through, how you're feeling, what you're struggling with, what lessons can be learned from it, and how to move forward from it. Basically, it's like an empowering half an hour with you, because it's like reminding you who you are, what you're capable of, what limiting beliefs you're holding on to that are begging to be let go of, and what the base, like what your lesson is in throughout all of this. It's reminding you who you are and who you've always been.
And how did you come up? I mean, you knew you had all this sensitivity, but how did you come to do that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I asked you and then we started talking. I think we
Yeah.
derailed a little. That's okay.
ADHD brain here. Totally side circle that.
It's fine. We're just having a fun conversation here.
Love it. Honestly, it was just finding a teacher that was willing to teach me. And it was really hard to find someone. And then I was lucky enough to find a teacher, and she was just like, she taught me the basics. She taught me how to understand what I was seeing, hearing, and feeling. And also that the panic and anxiety. I didn't know I had panic and anxiety. I thought that what I was feeling, everybody felt around the world, but it actually ended up just being a sensitivity to energy. And I would hear like things in my mind and I couldn't make sense of it. And she's like, "Oh, that's the dead talking to you. That's what that is." And I was like, "I don't talk to the dead." And she's like, "Yeah, you do." She's like, "Here, I'll prove it to you." And she's like, was like, "Go give this person a reading." And I was like, "Okay." So I took what she taught me and I put it into practice. And I was like, I remember calling my husband and being like, I talked to the dead." And he was like, "It's about time, but I don't know how to understand that either." Like,
My husband called and say, "Oh, by the way, I talked to the dad." I'm like, "Wait, what? What?"
he said he always knew there was something really unique about me, but it was a real struggle because, like I said, I didn't know the sensitivity to energies and that I was connecting to people. So it would come out in panic and anxiety. And it was really hard for him because my panic and anxiety would cause me to lash out at him. And especially in social settings, like my anxiety was so heightened and everything. It was really a struggle. But he loved me so much. And he was like, "When it's just the two of us, she's normal. She's not kind of, snipey and snippy, and I love her so much when we're alone." So thank God he didn't give up on me. But one after I started doing readings full time and I started really understanding what was going on and the panic and anxiety and feeling like I wanted to jump out of my skin and knowing things about people that didn't make sense. I knew. I asked him one time. I said, "What's it like being married to a medium?" And he's like, "Let's put it this way. It's better and easier being married to one that knows she is versus one that didn't know she was." And it's
Oh,
like, good stuff. So then, and as I was learning all this, I had an amazing job. Like I had a pension and benefits, like amazing. And I talked to my husband. I was like, I'd really like to do readings full time. And he said, "I absolutely agree. And I think you should. I've never seen you happier. Do it." And I was like, "Okay." So we just talked about it. And I ended up quitting my job and just going out on my own and following my heart. And my last 10 years, like 10 years of my life have been incredible. And the last four have been even better.
I mean, I applaud you because you quit your job to actually pursue something that you thought it was for you. Because
Yeah.
most people, they don't have that courage to leave a secure job. I know job is secure, but you know what I mean,
Yes.
to leave their job to go do something they're so passionate about it. Like I'm so passionate about the podcast, but it's not paying the bills, so I cannot quit. I would love to quit my job and do this full time,
Yeah.
but it's just I applaud you for having that
Yeah.
courage. That must have been so scared.
Do you know, there were moments, definitely. There were moments, definitely. But by that point, I trusted my intuition so much and my calling so much that I was like, I can't believe the fear. I can't believe the fear. Now, like I said, there were moments, like there were times where I was like, "Oh my God, Colin, I quit my job." We had a lot of money when I was working, like between the two of us. We had both very, very good jobs. And I was like, I left our steady income. I left a pension. What's wrong with me? and then I would give a reading and I would be like, "That's why I left." That's like, there's nothing, no amount of money in the world is ever going to be put into my bank account that makes me go, Okay, I'll give up what I'm doing for my purpose.
No, but your husband was on board with you, but what about your family, your relatives or
Yeah.
friends? Were like, I'm sure you had a friend or relatives like, are you out of your fucking mind? God forbid.
Jean,
What?
it's actually blows my mind how many of my friends that I told, hey, so I have something to tell you.